is advised.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the second discussion for Sleeping Gods. This is the series finale, so we are going to talk about our thoughts of the game now completely as a whole, what we thought about the finale, so slight spoilers there, and if anything's changed, from back when we did the discussion to now, and I will let you guys go first. And Brett actually has quite a bit to bring up this time because he
has a comparison.
You have a comparison to another campaign,
I do.
which is actually that's actually really neat because most of the time we don't get that. Yeah. Like, I have no one else to compare campaign experiences to, or really other game experiences to.
So actually, let me hear from you two first, and then I will add in my perspective from having been through two of them.
Yeah. All right, Kat, you can go first.
I love that. I thought this was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to play it again. I thought it was really versatile. The only thing I didn't really care for was the combat, because I'm stupid. No, but
your words. No,
but
the combat is probably the one thing in this game that is very not quarterbacky, because that's probably more of a player problem than anything.
If one person
it's more analytical.
Yes, and if one person has it down and they know how to look at it, it's just like the very, very last fight that we had. I was like, you guys put it where you need to, because you're better at assessing it than I am. Yeah,
the overall aspect of the game is very, but we can do this, and everyone can put some input. The combat is, well, this seems to be the most optimal thing to do here, and here's 4 reasons why. Mm-hmm. It's hard for someone else to come in and be like, but what if we didn't do that at all, and we did this, but I have no other reasons. And it allows for, in a multiplayer game, for 1 or 2 people to kind of, this is how we should fight. I think really the only input for combat is, well, here's my shit. Like, here's what I have. Here's cards in my hand that I can put on my people. Because I can't read what Audrey's abilities are. I can't read those. That's really the only input that everyone can kind of do. But yeah. Keep going.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what else I really liked. Just generally the storytelling, like, kind of build your own adventure. I'm always just a huge fan of that. The fact that we can level ourselves up, the fact that we can find, these totems, people, books, recipes to help us on this little adventure that we're creating, and kind of create our own personalities too. I was a big fan of. I like that, even if it's not real.
Right, this game does allow for like pretty good role playing, even though
it's not really.
Because you kind of have to, not really role playing per se, because the book tells you what they say and stuff. So, but you can make decisions kind of if everyone's kind of torn on, what should we do as a group? You can be like, well, okay, we did it a couple times. Oh, here's what these characters might want to do. Yeah. So we can do a majority thing.
Yeah.
But what do you think of the ending?
A fan because we didn't die. So
we did not die.
I was almost surprised that he was our final boss.
Really?
Yeah. Well, like, I thought there was going to be like more of him, or like more of I don't know, more of something else. But I wasn't surprised to see him. I was just surprised it was just him.
I was only surprised that he wasn't the fight each time the event deck ran out. Like the first time he was it, then it was like the second time it was like
the Mythins.
Yeah, and then the third time, like, I knew he was coming back without a doubt.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this spear is like useless unless there's other ways that he can come back.
Never see him again.
You for sure see him at least twice, and that's why I was prepping for it.
But as far as like the end, like the actual like hard end, I like that there's multiple routes. Like, you can try to convince the people of like what you're actually doing. Because imagine if we were like, we'll try to lie to them and do this. It's like, well, Vime's not with you, so they're not going to back you up because she's not going to be able to back you up.
That's true. Yeah, it's really cool. Like, I think, and like you mentioned how to create your own story. That's exactly what this is. You are allowed to do one thing on one side of the map and then go all the way to the other side of the map and see that, we did this, therefore this is what we can do now. You can actually connect those decision-making things, which I absolutely love.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times whenever you're doing big campaign games like this, ours took 6 months to do one game, and we played sporadically. Like, we played consistently for a while and then kind of took some breaks, but for the most part, we played relatively consistently. But massive campaign games are like, if they're decision-based, you never know until you play it again. And you have to be conscious. Like, I'm in 2 campaigns of Gloomhaven, and I know the decisions that I've done differently, but I have to actively be like, yes, I remember doing this in my game, so let's do something different in this game. This one, you don't have to do that. You don't have to play through it again to be like, oh, we did this. You're going to, but you actually get to see, hey, we made this decision at this point, and you see the fruition at the very end, specifically for our story, or our finale.
And speaking of the map, this will probably be the last thing I touch on. Things that, like, I'll probably chime in later, but I love the map, love the book, love the storybook. I'm a big fan of books in games. I think it's so fun. This
is something that Ryan Lockett has done in Near and Far. It's, I think, if I'm not mistaken, his new game that's coming out, Now or Never, is a similar concept of the games being on the book. Near and Far, it's a progressive thing. Hey, here's game 1. You don't travel through it. But I think, honestly, in Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion does this as well. It's not tiles that take up, half the board. It's a book.
Yeah.
And whenever it's like in Jaws of the Lion, it's like, oh, you need extra? You have a second book that you just kind of turn to a page and you slide it up. So it's all condensed, it's all concise. You can actually get artwork instead of paying a shit ton for tiles to actually have art. I love this. Even Plaid Hat games do it. Stuff Fables did it. Mice and Mystics didn't. They had tiles. Stuff Fables, Comanauts, and I know for a fact Aftermath uses these books. I love this. Mm-hmm. I love these ideas because it makes everything easier, and you can do just as much with it as you would with an actual board. My favorite thing about the map, going off what you're saying, is whenever you're given vague descriptions of things, but it's not so vague that it's like, go to the east. It's like, okay, we have 600 things we can do in this spot. Like, how far east? You can actually be like, hey, it's like on the base of a volcano. Yeah. And then you turn.
Or it's a big door. It's a big golden door.
Like and then you can get there and you're like, hey, this is it. I think almost each time that we had that, I think I was like, no, it has to be this one. Yeah. Or it's one of these 3.
And I think you were correct.
I think I was correct almost every time except for one.
For one time.
And that was one where I had a 50-50 shot.
And I think it was the one time that I was like, you know what? You've been right this whole time.
And then I was wrong. But that's not because I'm like some amazing... I'm just like, it's this. It's because you can look at the pictures and be like, okay, that is the base of a volcano. That is a door. That's an opening. That's something that you can do and gather enough information off of. I actually thoroughly enjoyed the ending. I didn't feel like it was anticlimactic at all because we got to see the decisions. We knew, hey, this is what Vime wanted us to do. Mm-hmm. We did that, and what's even cool about that is that one keyword had multiple options. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just a one or done. Hey, do you have it or not? Sucks to suck. Yeah. Play the game again.
About, yeah.
Right. And even then, it was like, hey, we had that, but we had 2 options. Hey, we can do this, or we can do this. And the one because hey, you need either 8 totems, or if you we had 3 options. Yeah. And we were like, well, we have it, so let's. And I was hoping that, sorry, you didn't have 8 totems, so I guess it fails or whatever. Yeah. No, it was, hey, if you do have 8 totems, here's another different option.
Yeah.
So
there's something to shoot for next time.
Exactly. Yeah, and you have, so under that one keyword, you had 5 different choices. All with different endings, because obviously there's 13. Because I thought the way that it was going to end was it was going to kind of take you out of it and be like, how many totems do you have? This many, and that tells you to read one ending. I'm really glad that it wasn't like that, because that would have been anticlimactic. We have 5. Okay, reread this one paragraph. That's that. Even up until the very end, you got to kind of, hey, okay, we're going to do this, and still make decisions all the way till the very end, till you get your final story. What was interesting to me about it was kind of the epilogue of it. We did what we came to do. Everyone went their separate ways, but in our particular one, I'm not going to say who, but it actually just kind of really focused on one character, which was weird. And in this case, it was Gregory. And I was like, why him? There's 8 crew members here. Why him specifically? Because I didn't get anything throughout the entire campaign that like any one of us was any more important than the others, except the captain. The captain is obviously the one who hired us.
Mm-hmm.
So my guess is that that's his ending. Like, this is Gregory's final epilogue. Kind of like a Sandlot thing where it tells you, Mac went on to open up a shoe store.
The best mac cheesies around.
That went on to commit suicide. Like, he was
happy.
But he was happy that he could finally end it to truly see the gods. So that would be my guess, is that the rest of the endings, you obviously make different decisions and different outcomes, but then with the time skip, like, what do they call those? The ellipses? The 3 dots?
Yeah.
No, that's after a sentence. But like the paragraph where it shows you, hey, time has passed.
Oh, okay, well.
I don't know what that's called.
I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just described it.
But yeah, it's like paragraph, 3 dots, then the new paragraph,
Right.
and it's like, oh, okay, it's been a couple days or whatever.
Section break or something.
Yeah. That's whenever the very last paragraph I read was about Gregory. And I'm like, well, that's weird. Like, okay, that's just one ending.
Nothing happened to anyone else.
No, it literally said, oh, okay, you did that. Everyone went off on their own.
Everyone went off in different directions.
But Gregory's here.
And here's one guy that we followed.
Yeah. So that was only kind of weird, but I liked it. It was nice kind of to, you have the moments with a few of the characters which are actually not really in the game at all.
I just got really sad because I was like, oh, he didn't get to go back to his wife.
Well, it wasn't Gregory.
No.
He didn't have a wife, I'm pretty sure. That's some story that we made up. Yeah, so...
That's how invested we got.
Raphael doesn't have a wife, we know that.
Yeah.
Very much.
Yeah.
In terms of, the entire storytelling, this game is perfection, honestly. Like, I have 0 complaints about it. Like, I enjoyed every second of it. This is one game that I could see you just... Like how you binge on a video game, like, all day, you could play Sleeping Gods all day, and have a good time, and see so many different things. Like, out of all board games that are about choices and world exploration and choices... Did I say choices already?
Yeah, but...
And choices a second time.
It's your choice to say choices twice.
There were a lot of choices.
Choices, exploration, like, combat was... Choices. For me, I absolutely loved combat. Like, it does everything right, because there's so many out there that it's like, hey, there's a video game that's like this, I'll just do that. There's no point in me playing the board game, because this one is whatever he did to come up with this. God, I hope he does again. So
more expansions.
I mean, more expansions. You could very much do this exact same game in a different setting.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this is more like what, modernized fantasy, like
you were 20s.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it was not like 2000s.
But yeah, you're
like, you could do this in, I mean, because he has games in his world,
any genre.
Yeah. All right, Brett, what are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, it was an interesting experience, and as I said one time, I think a couple of weeks ago, I think I might be facing a little bit of burnout.
Right.
Because I'm trying to keep up with 2 separate ones at the time, and they're very well organized, and I wasn't confused or anything, but I'm playing different characters, we're making different decisions, we have different starting points, so
yeah,
that was a slight factor.
There were a lot of times you'd come to me and you'd be like, didn't we do this? And I'm like, no, we didn't. We don't have this.
Must have been those other people. But it was not a bad experience. It was just... Do I really want to do this? Yeah, I'll do it. I owe it to them. But both campaigns... Huh?
You played with 4?
Yes, the other one we played 4. So
everyone had 2, right? Yeah, everyone.
Yep. A lot of... It is different. It feels just a little bit different with different numbers.
Okay.
Which is good.
Yeah.
I mean, no scaling problems.
Right.
Just... feels different, more control, less control, more agreement, more discussion, or, a captain who just decides to, here's what we're going to do, and we get it done efficiently, quickly.
Yeah.
Just a different play style, which this all invites and all works well with. Again, basically on every level, genius, excellent design, excellent quality, and artwork, and everything beautiful, holds up well. Looking forward to doing it more. I will disagree in a very, very slight manner
Okay.
Just,
You don't get to. Anyway, no.
just the fact about the ending.
Oh, okay.
And it is specifically because it feels like, the whole game feels like an open world exploration. And you're collecting things and achieving goals and getting more things to achieve and a bunch of side quests and all sorts of stuff without necessarily a clear focus on, is there any particular importance to any of these? Are some of, like in an open world video game, there are the main quest and then there's side quests.
Yeah.
And you know which is which. So you know what you can do, what you can focus on. So that in and of itself, not a problem. The problem that posed for me, and again, very, very slight gripe, just tiny one, is the fact that the event deck sets a time limit on the overall experience. So then at halfway through the last deck, we go, oh crap, we don't have enough totems, we don't have enough quests, what the hell?
Yeah.
Ugh, how are we going to, and we get that annual, how are we going to get it all done? And the answer is, you're not.
Yeah.
You're going to play it again.
That's true.
You're going to play it again a few times.
Yeah, you cannot 100% this game. It is literally impossible.
Yeah,
because of that.
And so, I mean, I like the story-driven aspects, and I like even at the end, here's a series of choices. Well, we can't do this, but we can do 5 other things.
Yeah.
What do we want to do? Take it in different directions. Right now, we can choose to go back and make different choices.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, because I'm going to...
Just to see how it turned out
Maybe we can go
differently.
find that girl that...
We can fight those 5 cards and see how that turned out?
Yeah. I mean, you have so many different options even at the very end. And
Maybe we can win chess.
There are two... Yeah, there are 2 things. One, you mentioned the... Okay, so the very beginning of the ending, I think, will always be the same. Like... Because you didn't start making different choices until you did the final 3rd time event deck depletion.
Yeah.
And once you did that, I guess it could end a different way if you lose
Sure.
to that. But the initial start of the ending is always going to be the same. So it's never going to be like what I thought was event deck's over. Okay, what do you have? What totems do you have? Because I knew totems were the goal. I think in fact, the very beginning of the game, or even the lore told us that totems were kind of your overall goal.
Yeah.
But they don't tell you why.
Right.
You just, hey, get totems.
The more the better.
The more the better. Not necessarily. Well, yes, it is.
There are a couple of things that stand out as a replacement for that, which is nice because we got Frog, but we didn't get enough totems, but that opened up another option.
But yes, for the most part, if it's the more you have, the more options you're going to have for an ending you want to choose. But because you've played the end, we've seen one, we know, if we want to do that same path to that ending, but do it a little bit different, now you can be a little bit more focused. Your first playthrough, I think, is going to be more, we'll see what we get.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it is always going to be the same beginning of the ending, which is fine. It's like playing, it's always hard with board games that are like this, because that's why everyone is all about, FOMO, and everyone's all about expansions. This game could come out, even during the discussion, this game came out, we hadn't even finished it, and I was already wanting expansions. Mm-hmm. And the reason for that is because everyone wants that feeling of newness every single time. Mm-hmm. It's not as fun to go through Sleeping Gods again and know what this quest does. Mm-hmm. It's not as fun to know what Frog does. Yeah. So that's why it's always kind of weird to want to play this again, because it's like, well, I've seen some of it.
Oh, yeah.
But this game, once again, counteracts that with so many things that you can do.
Yeah. We've only seen less than a tenth of what we could.
Yeah.
We didn't even go to the, what's the Tides? Something.
Oh, no, we didn't actually. I was going to say Rising Tides. Is that it? Mm-mm. Tides Rising.
Tides of Glory.
Tides of Rising. It's, the expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. We
just an extra map with extra fun. In my other campaign, we did a little bit.
Oh, okay.
And it's not exactly more of the same.
Tides of Ruin.
Tides of Ruin. It plays the same, but, there are other things to do there.
It's just extra stuff, yeah. Different stories.
More quest cards, more stories, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, it's an excellent expansion in the fact that it just adds more richness.
Of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. which once again is
Yeah.
another way if he wanted to
Yeah.
support this game specifically, you just do.
Yeah. So getting back to the time limit of the event cards, and now that we understand the dungeons, it concerns me that going through dungeons, while that does unlock other things that are unique, that's going to limit our ability to do. So I'm not sure how that's going to play out as far as an ending goes.
I think...
There are totems that are specifically in dungeons that aren't anywhere else.
Yes, I was going to actually talk about dungeons in a sec.
Okay.
But you talked about how the event deck being the timer
Yeah.
is a negative.
Well, just... Or it in my mind, it conflicts with the open worldness.
Sure.
I want to keep exploring. I want to keep doing and seeing stuff.
You don't
I don't
want
want to
that
have somebody
stuff,
say, "You're done."
Yeah, and for me personally, I like that because otherwise you would do everything in this game.
Man.
And then once you do that, you're like, okay, done.
Yeah.
Throw it away. The event deck, being a timer, allows you to take a breather and be like, we've finished one game.
It
now
does-
I can shelve it for 7 years.
Yeah.
And then pull it out and then forget everything. Or be like, man, I remember this because my second campaign in Gloomhaven, since it's taken so long, I haven't even finished my own game. In the second one, I'm like, I don't remember actually what this does, and it brings that newness feeling back. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, everyone would just never finish it. Make sure, no, we don't want to do this because that's going to end the game, and then just get it all out, and then be like, all right, we're done.
Yeah.
So
I feel like I could start over now,
yeah,
and it's still new and fresh.
right.
I remember very, very little about what we accomplished. Yeah, we can use the map. We know what words we're looking for at certain locations, which actually will make it easier to achieve a better goal next time.
True, because there are some that either we failed or we just didn't have the items. But yeah, actually, now that you mention it, specifically since the totems are your goal, I don't remember how we got them.
Right.
I remember one.
I think the majority of the ones that we got were happenstance.
Yeah.
We were like, oh.
We went exploring the right
This
spot.
one we
made the
needed
right
12
choice.
coins.
We defeated an enemy.
We never had 12. Yeah, I remember we
left
went.
that guy there die.
Was that purchased or was that?
This we got from
No, that wasn't.
Omlud, one of the gods.
Okay.
This was a spear.
Just by me.
I don't remember. I don't remember how we got
was
it.
that Snake Daddy?
No.
Oh, okay.
Snake Daddy was one of those stones over there.
Oh.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, even then.
So as I say, it's just a tiny gripe. It's just the two slightly conflict for me. Of having, please explore everything, do all this stuff, and then you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
so-
can see it coming.
I think also with the event deck being a timer, it is kind of a relief. At least whenever, because whenever you want, with so many games that come out, especially for the channel, it makes it a lot easier to be like, okay, now I'm done with this series. I can focus on other stuff. Even on game days, whenever it's like, hey, what do we want to play? Well, we still have the Sleeping Gods campaign to continue to do, and it's like, oh, well, I kind of wanted to play something else. No, we got the campaign we got to do. Yeah. Otherwise, it'll just sit there. Yeah. And unfortunately, you can't play a same copy and do multiple campaigns.
Right.
Which might be actually a huge negative. Is if someone has this copy and you're playing with, your family or whatever, and your friends want to play, sucks to suck. They better buy a copy because you could.
Yeah.
If you could go out of your way and write everything down.
It takes a lot more writing.
Yeah.
of
every single adventure card, every quest.
Because they're all going to get reused.
I mean, even the used. No, man, I really don't think you could. I mean, yes, you very much could, but it's not worth the effort.
I agree.
Because you'd have to remember the used, all the quests, so you'd have to constantly take those in and out. The event deck, the who has what.
Yeah.
It was all but designed that no one could play one game and have multiple campaigns. Kat, what do you think on the event deck? Do you want it to be more end it when you feel like ending it, or do you like the fact that for a fact there is a hard ending?
So that's what I was just thinking. I like the fact that there is a hard ending. I just wish it were a little bit longer because I wish it could be structured in a way like not so open world like let's say The Witcher, where you can there's like almost endless amounts of like side quests you can do, and you can just fuck up the map and do everything.
Or CD Projekt Red literally shortened the length of the Cyberpunk campaign because no one beat the Witcher campaign because it was too long. Yeah.
listen, anyway, it's my favorite game. Like,
No, that's not a negative. I'm just saying that would, if this was too long.
But yeah. Like, just knowing that, like, yes, you could run through everything. That is a possibility. That would be way too long. But more like along the lines of Mass Effect, where it's like, oh, okay, you know that this certain quest is going to trigger the end game, and you can't go back from there. You have to end it. But you still do have a few more open quests, but it's just not as expanse. Like, maybe you have, like, 5 more things to do, and you're like, oh, I really want to get those done. Like, I wish there was a middle ground for this. That way you could be like, okay, well, let's not do this.
Oh, because we know it's going to trigger.
Because we know it's going to, we know it's going to end there. Like, we just want to do a few more things, but not, like, also not let us, like, just totally run away until we have, like, 12 totems or whatever.
Seems to me that invites a simple house rule for specific things, like add more cards to the event deck, or only draw an event card after everyone's had a turn instead of each person.
Oh, yeah.
That would stretch things out. Yeah. Without the problem with the events is that most of them make things quite a bit more difficult.
Right. So
well, not quite a bit. But,
not quite a bit, but
they also add up.
There is a
so I don't think I'd want more events.
Right.
Each run through.
Yeah. Probably your fix of everyone, you do one full round and then you do an event, but I think that would make the game too easy. It might break the flow of the game.
I assume they play tested those ideas.
Probably.
It's really because it's not so much that like the difficulty setting needs to be adjusted. It's literally it's just length. Like I wish it went on a little bit longer.
Which part of that longing is we can just pour into the next run through.
That is true. Also, it might have felt short because I hard stopped the game at an hour.
Yeah.
Like those were the length of the episodes that I wanted to put up, and
now for me it's the overall campaign, not each session.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, because I mean, like either way, those were still like that. We still played the same amount of like actual time we were gonna play anyway.
Yeah. And the way I look at it, kind of what you were saying, comparing it to The Witcher, is how long did it take me to beat The Witcher campaign? 5 years.
Because you didn't.
Oh, because you deleted my fucking game. No, I did beat the main campaign. I was working on the expansions.
Oh, you did?
Yes. Yeah, you were on the couch with me whenever I got the best ending.
Literally the best ending.
Anyway, it took me 5 years. And the reason why is because I like having things. I like being like, oh, I have Sleeping Gods that I haven't beaten. I have Gloomhaven. I have all these. And with The Witcher, I was like, I don't want to beat it because I love the game so much. I don't want to end it. And that's exactly what I would do. That if this was we end it whenever we feel like it, I would never touch it. You know, because I would be like, I want to just know that I can finish it.
Yeah.
But because this has literally 13 different endings, and what's also great about the endings is it wasn't some cheap, there's 13. I mean, there might be one that's like, hey, you got no totems. That has to be one of the endings. You got no totems, you fucking suck. You're beheaded on the staircase or whatever.
It's actually like it's like a A plus 100%. They're like, we're impressed.
Wow.
How did you avoid this?
Wow.
What did you do?
Yeah.
Traveled a lot.
Well, because what I also thought, because I wasn't sure how the ending was going to be the decisions, I thought all the different Fs like were the endings. So whenever it told me to go to 5, I was like, son of a bitch, this is going to be like, oh, you get ending 3 and 7. You know, I thought it was going to combine them so it wasn't 13. It isn't like that, which is awesome. So we do have, you essentially will get to play 13 games of this at about 6.
Well, that's assuming you reach the criteria for each of the endings.
Yeah,
true, but yes,
in 13 games.
Taking into account, yes, that let's say at the very minimum you'll get at least 13 games. We have about 14 or 15 episodes, so about 15 hours.
Probably
is how long it took us to do.
I don't think we were.
First one was a couple hours.
It might have been a couple hours, so at least like 15 hours of a game.
Yeah.
So times that by 13, you got 180 something hours in one game.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why. But the other thing that we can very much talk about that we experienced right at the very end of the game are the dungeons, which we did not touch whenever we first did the discussion. The dungeons are hard, at least the one that we went into. Right. And there are a couple things I do like the dungeons. I think that is a cool idea, and I'm glad they didn't bloat it with that. There's 6.
It's a different variant of the gameplay instead of just more content.
Exactly. Like, you actively choose if you want to go in there, and you have only 6 to do. And it does tell you, which is really cool, what where they are. Like, it's not just you stumble upon one and then you have to decide then and there. You can we just so happen to be at a spot where there was one, so it's like, yeah, why not?
Sure.
But yeah, it's really cool. You get to like they're thematically tied to one another, as well as you still get your dungeon exploring or your dungeon exploring stories. And the interesting part was the fact that you run through the event deck like that, so shortening the campaign for both of you. But I think it's compensated probably because what the events were gonna give you, you get in the dungeon anyway, like tests and damage and all that. But it's also, I think it might actually lengthen the game because each person gets 3 actions, and you only draw an event when you choose to camp.
Right, when you need to recover.
When you need to recover, and even then it might not even be a recover.
Plus, it avoids some events, which would avoid some serious problems.
True. Like our engine troubles literally at the end. Thematically, our boat was like falling apart towards the end of our journey.
Yeah. Right off the bat, I would want to go to a dungeon when we get to the worst level of event cards.
Yeah.
And then go through 5 or 6 of those in a dungeon.
Yeah. What do you guys think of the dungeon? Which we, for the record, we barely explored. We walked in, got fucked, and we're just like, yeah, no, we got the key, but we're just gonna yeehaw out of here.
Yeah. Have a good night, Lava.
Yeah, Lava, Shorm, whatever, the dragon that we had to fight, and I was like, we are not prepared.
That was rough. It was a trial and tribulation, and I would not do it again. No, I would not. Now that we know, I mean,
we'd do it again.
Dungeon inherently, you knew it was going to be rough, but I just didn't. I don't.
It's like the dungeon expansion in Talisman, where it's like, hey, don't go here unless you actually have some shit.
Yeah, just warning.
Yeah,
you're gonna die.
It is rough. And still, once again, one of my favorite things about this game is we played on Brutal, and all that did was make the threat of stuff worse. Because it was like, oh, if we lose here, our game is completely over. So the stakes were higher, but it didn't make the game harder. It wasn't like, oh, here's enemies, but if you're playing on Brutal, they get 15 more health, or any weird thing like that.
Right.
So the combat was still stressful, but it made you care a little bit more. It wasn't like, if we lose, who gives a shit? We have 4 more defeats we can handle.
Right.
So I really like that was an aspect of difficulty, because you could go in here and it made that done. That was the only time where I was like, oh, hell no. Like, we actually lost. No, we didn't lose, but we had 7 of us wiped. Yeah. And I'm like, and then going into the finale, it wouldn't have mattered anyway.
But we didn't know that.
We
acted like we...
And I was like, yeah, we got to get out of here. So, and what's even cool is this one dungeon, because it is brutal, because it would have been kind of...
Are the dungeons rated different difficulties?
I don't think so.
I think
it's, I mean, because...
So they'll probably all just...
They're probably all really hard, yeah.
Never look around the entrance, just go right past it.
Nope, not looking here. But what's really neat is because they're so hard, it's like the old school NES games, where it's like, they're just bullshit hard for no reason because they're so short. Hey, we have 5 levels, but they're all impossible to beat. That's kind of what these dungeons remind me of. You go in, and because since there are only 6, it would have been kind of disheartening to actually discover one or go out of your way for one, burn through your event deck, and it's the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah.
You know, I like the fact that we explored 5 things in there, and we're just like, nope.
And a huge complicating factor is we could not recover.
Yes.
When we went in, we didn't have the option, so now we know better.
Or like we made one fire, and we're just like, all right, that's it. Everyone feel good? Heal me. Gregory's like,
coughing up blood.
Nah, just rub some dirt in that. So I actually appreciate the challenge, but what does kind of suck is I don't think it tells you. It tells you, hey, be experienced with the game a little bit before you go in there, but it doesn't say anything about... You might want a lot of command tokens. You might want some... It doesn't prep you for any of that.
Well, it kind of does. We just didn't read the rules until the very end of the game.
Oh, it does tell you?
If you just understand the gameplay and the choices, like...
Sure.
It costs you an event deck to do a recovery. It doesn't specify what recovery really means.
Oh,
but it's like, if you're going to go in there with 1 event card, you're not going to get far.
That's actually a very good point. Yeah, these are all cool and thematic. Caldera Fortress, Blood Ruins, Desert Grotto, Crypt of Thorns, Fishbone Vault, and Coral Temple.
See, why is Caldera Fortress so far from the volcano? I mean, yes, these are all volcanic isles.
I think that's kind of the inherent thing.
All right, fine. Good theme. Ryan wins again.
Yeah, man, he knocked it out of the park. Easily his best game. I haven't played Now or Never yet.
Easily your best game.
But I hope this is what all campaign, world discovery games need to aspire to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
if you think you might like role playing, but you're not sure,
this
ain't a bad way to start.
That's a good point, because they give you enough that you might be able to kind of like talk a little bit as them if you want to get into role playing.
Yeah, they've all got backstories.
Which I've forgotten everyone's backstory, literally, because we kind of made our own.
Yeah.
Like Laurent had this wife that he loved but hated at the same time. The boomer marriage.
No, she was like nothing but good to him, and he.
Oh, but he just like,
oh, that old bitch.
She just ruins my life, tucks me in at night, cooks me dinner,
kisses me to sleep.
And at the very end, when he fought, he only wanted to get back to her.
It's true.
It was a full story. So
we knew Kenan was in the army.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember he had we gave him PTSD. But I mean, yeah, I'm so excited because this is one of those games that you. Oh, there is a negative. I think the setup and teardown sucks. Like that actually was a very slight deterrent where I was like, I don't want to set this up.
That would encourage you to play for longer, for sure. Like if we weren't doing this for recording purposes, it would definitely encourage you.
That's true, because it's not the best.
Set aside a 6 to 10 hour day.
Yeah.
I was gonna
do
say,
this and then have some fun.
I could totally imagine
with a few breaks at a different table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like breaks, like getting up, moving around, like freely. Like, oh hey, it's lunchtime, let's go out to eat.
Yeah. But this game isn't heavy.
Games.
Like, it's not hey, we're going to play an 8-hour game of Twilight Imperium, buckle up.
Yeah.
We're going to play an 8-hour session.
Tissues, boys, because we're crying.
We're going to play an 8-hour session of Sleeping Gods, and you're just in this delightful world.
Yeah.
Where it does have, key aspects. There are decisions you make that might not be the most morally the best, but it's not there isn't an agenda. He's not trying to pinpoint you on hey, slavery is a very real thing. It's yeah, we all know. Can I enjoy the game?
No.
There's none of that in here. But
I will say the other campaign I was in, we tended to play for 3 or 4 hour stretches at a time.
Okay.
And somebody at some point would look at the clock and go, "Wow, we gotta go."
oh man, our dogs are in the car.
Yeah.
What?
We thought we were going to be in it for an hour. What? That's still
That's so horrible.
No, but I could see playing 6-8 hours with no problem.
I mean, we played Pandemic Legacy Season 1. We finished that, didn't we? No, we did 2 sessions. 3?
3. First one was 8 hours.
Yeah.
And the other 2 were 3 each, I think.
Okay.
2 evenings.
That's a bit much for me.
It was a Saturday,
but that's what
Tuesday, and Thursday, I think.
Oh, that's right. I remember we did come on a weekday. But yeah, we did do we got through 6 or 7 games of Pandemic Legacy, and that I was I'm ready to be even just with Pandemic Legacy Season 0, which is my favorite. It's still a lot because the flow of Pandemic is very high stress. Oh god, we're gonna lose.
Yep.
This didn't have that. This was literally just immersing yourself in a world that still is in his world, and I don't remember if he has a name for it. But all of his games, Above and Below, Near and Far, Now or Never, this one, City of Iron, all his games are in his world.
Really?
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
I wonder if he plays D&D.
Wonder if he's
I'm
insane.
sure. I wonder if he is insane. I think that's a genius because no one else does that. So he's basically the first and only person on the market. Yeah, other creators have their world.
Right.
That, hey, here's
or use
Gloomhaven.
other worlds like The Witcher and
yes,
the Lord of the Rings games.
Exactly, that are in that theme.
But they
this
weren't
one
the creation.
is in his own creative world. He does his own art.
Yeah.
And
so in that, I respect him tremendously as a literary and visual artist, besides being an excellent game designer.
Yeah.
So I'm absolutely stoked.
I'm gonna start praying to Ryan Lockett before I go to bed.
That's fair. Yeah, let's idolize him. Hopefully he's at Gen Con so I can worship him.
Yes.
Like kiss his feet.
Yeah, wash his feet.
More sleeping gods, sir.
He's like, cops!
He just shoots me.
Security!
Security. I've taken care of them. It's just us.
Wouldn't it be great?
I'm
if you
your
were just,
biggest fan.
Wouldn't it be great if you're just a total obnoxious asshole in person?
You
He is not, unfortunately. I've met him. He's super nice. I met him a couple years ago at Gen Con because he was just standing around his booth.
Lord
Yeah,
and
he's
Savior.
super nice too.
Of course,
Wow.
of course.
Uh,
Ask him get some virtues written down so we can start our cult to Ryan Lockett.
hey, we'll call it the Lockenites. That's what. Yeah, but I am extremely excited to see what he does. I can't imagine that this would be his only adventure into a game like this.
Right.
I can't imagine he would do this a lot because this had to have taken an immense amount of work to work and flow a lot of play testing. But I really, really hope that maybe I'll ask him that. Maybe I'll ask him if he's at Gen Con this year. I'll be like, hey, give me the scoop. You doing another Sleeping Gods game?
Can I have some more? And then suck his toes, and then maybe yeah.
And then he's not because he's gonna see this and he's gonna see me and
He's gonna run.
he's gonna have all his stuff in like a bag, like a blanket that he can just throw over his shoulder and run
He's not
off.
gonna do that. He's just gonna fucking
Sling it over, hit a customer.
necessary. You follow him home.
Driving
You're on the bird.
Anyway, I hope more Sleeping Gods or more games like this. Just in general, really. This was awesome.
Yeah.
So on a scale of 1 to 10.
Dude, I'm gonna give it a 10.
I'm
I
gonna give
fucking
it-
loved it. I'm just thinking about the bird.
Just like trying to scan my phone to quickly pay for it. Shit's getting away. Good thing he's in Indianapolis traffic. It sucks here.
He's like, fuck a light!
Ding, 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 ding. Where you going?
You offer to wash his windows for like some money, like.
No, just for some Sleeping Gods insight. Get any more expansions brewing?
I'm gonna give it a 10. I loved it. I can't wait to play it again. These types of games just tickle my freaking fancy.
Yeah.
Makeup is in my eyes.
This is easily one of the highest 10 out of 10s that I can give. Yeah, this is, sheer perfection. Even, set up and tear down. Yeah, you were like, yeah, just play longer. Oh, you're right. Yeah, I wouldn't have to set up and tear down as much if we weren't doing the hour-long episodes.
Yeah, because then it would be worth it.
Right. Brett?
Yeah, 10-ish.
10-ish.
Yeah, we've each got minor gripes, but
Right.
So it's not perfect. But
No
it's
game is.
But
However,
10 isn't perfect. 10 is just as good as it could possibly be.
Right.
Exactly.
Which is-
It is.
The way
I can't imagine a way to condense this except for making it non-physical.
right.
If there was an app that you
Yeah.
could keep track of each player and everything that they got on them.
But see, that's what Destiny's was. The Time of
okay.
Legends. And it essentially became...
Why do I even have a board?
Exactly.
Well, I was just thinking an app just for the characters and keeping track of them between sessions.
Yeah.
Not for the rest.
One thing that I do hope is there is an app called Foreteller, which is a narration app. And they have it for Gloomhaven, they have it for Madara, which is another JRPG. There is going to be 2 more, Chronicles of Drunagar and the Asafarian Guard. Anyway, they have it for Above and Below, which I thought was odd that that's the one they chose. But I'm hoping that would be another. That'd give it like an 11 out of 10 if you just typed in the narrate and then they had the actual voice actors
That
do
would
it.
be awesome.
That would be very cool.
But only time will tell.
And then for the dungeons, they get the guy who does 5-minute dungeons.
What's his name? Eric Bailey, I think is his name. And Butthole Eyes. Yeah. And the 10s for me are just kind of, you just have minor complaints that you easily overlook.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's gonna have a nitpick. It's just how it is.
Yeah, Gloomhaven's a 10 out of 10 for me, but I have issues with
Yeah.
it. So, alright, so that's our thoughts on Sleeping Gods and the finale. Let us know what you think of the game in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.